Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Roden with the hoodie on today because it's chilly down here. And in today's video, we're going to be doing the good, the bad, and the ugly on the 11th generation, which is the newest generation of the Honda Civic. I'm going to take the hoodie off. I feel like I look like a bum. But the 11th generation, the newest generation of the Honda Civic. Also, before we get into this, song of the day. That's right. We're doing these again, baby. We're starting them up. It's called The Viper by Baby Chief Do It. Now, let me explain something to you. If you're not a fan of rap music, do not listen to the song, because it's a rap song, so it'll just make you angry, and there's no point in listening to a song that's going to make you angry. But it's a good song. I like it. This kid is like 15, 5 feet tall, like he's just a beast. It's hilarious. But in today's video, the good, bad, and ugly, in case you don't know how these videos work, first we go over everything you need to know about the car. It's just basic information about the car. Then we get into what the community tends to do with them in terms of modifying them and building them up. And then we get into the good, the bad, and the ugly, which we'll go over when we get there. And at the end of the video, I tell you whether or not I think you should buy the car, depending on the current situation that you're in. So without further ado, let's get right into the good, the bad, and the ugly on the 11th generation Honda Civic. So, like I said, first thing that we gotta talk about is just the basic info about the car. This is just things like the engines it comes with, how many ladies you can fit in it, like those types of things. And first off is the years made and the generation. It was made between the years 2022 to currently, because well, it's still being made, and it is the 11th generation of the Civic, like I said. As for the trim levels, there's quite a bit of them, but whenever I go over trim levels, for those who don't know, I don't like get into like the teeny little things. So mainly we're just going to be going over like the engines pretty much. So the LX and the Sport model come with a 2-liter inline 4 that makes 150 horsepower. Those are pretty much the base models. It's not anything too impressive. The Sport Hybrid and Sport Touring Hybrid both come with the same 2-liter inline 4, but now it has a hybrid motor on it, which makes 200 horsepower. So 50 more horsepower. It's obviously slightly better horsepower wise, but the main thing you're looking for with these hybrids is obviously better gas mileage, and it does have that. As for the SI, which is realistically the one that most of us are probably looking at because it's affordable but it's still kind of sporty, that comes with a 1.5 liter turbo inline 4 making 200 horsepower. So that's, now here's the thing, it makes the same amount of horsepower as like the hybrids do, and so you're probably like, well, what's the point in buying the SI? First of all, this motor is smaller. It's a 1.5 liter instead of a 2 liter, and it has a turbo on it. Hybrid motors you can't really tune as well, so this car can have more power, and on top of that, it's slightly lighter. And finally, the Type R model is obviously the one that everybody wants and is the most desirable because it's the fastest. And that comes with a 2-liter turbo inline 4, making 315 horsepower. That's pretty damn impressive. It's, I think, the fastest front-wheel drive car right now, which is obviously pretty good. As for the body styles, the car is available as a sedan or a hatchback only. No coupes yet, but I'm sure in a couple years we'll have one or two a coupe body style. As for the drivetrains, as of right now, it's only front-wheel drive as well. I don't think that's ever going to change, but there's a potential that they decide to go all-wheel drive. I mean, everybody's doing all-wheel drive nowadays. As for the transmissions, it is available as automatic and manual. Obviously, if you're a man, get the manual one. If you're not a man, get the automatic one. And as for the price, these are still pretty much new cars, obviously. So yes, you can find a used one, but even the used ones are going to still be around like 20 grand. Or a brand new Type R is $45,000. So it really obviously varies heavily depending on the one that you're actually going to get. But I think the cheapest you're going to find one of these things for right now is around 20K. As for the reliability and the gas mileage, they're very reliable. Obviously, it's a Civic. I feel like I don't have to explain that to you, but yeah, Civics are insanely reliable. And for the base LX models, it gets right around 36 miles per gallon combined. Now, obviously, it's going to have even more miles per gallon if you get a hybrid. It might have a little bit less if you get the SI or Type R, but it's going to be right around the 30 mile per gallon mark. It's overall just a really good daily driver. But now let's get into what the community tends to do with these bad mother jammers in terms of modifying them, okay? As for the drifting scene, obviously it's not seen here at all. There are no 11th generation Civic drift cars because they are front-wheel drive only, so it just doesn't really make much sense. As for the rally/off-road scene, also not seen here either because Civics just aren't built for rally racing, although it would be cool to see Civic rally cars. That would be interesting, but yeah, this is not a very popular application for these cars, so yeah, there's no real rally Civics. As for the street racing categories, it's definitely popular, but definitely not its most popular application. Civics are great tuner cars because of their weight, but nowadays these cars are getting heavier and heavier as time goes on, so people are still sticking to the old EKs, EGs, maybe even like the 7th generation Civics, but these ones are just getting a little bit too heavy. They're a little bit too expensive right now too, and they make better track cars, which leads us into our next thing, the track racing scene, the circuit racing boys. This is definitely its most popular application. They're the fastest front-wheel drive car for a reason. They absolutely love being on the track, and owners of these cars know that, and so they bring them onto the track and just have an absolute blast with them. They upgrade the suspension, don't really care too much about the horsepower, and put some stickier tires on it, and this bad boy will be flying. And then as for the stance/show community, the community that they just build them up to look good, and then that's it. Well, they're going to be seen because pretty much every car nowadays is turned into a show car at some point, but it's definitely not as popular as other Civics just yet, just because it's still really new. Give it a couple years though, we'll see more like stance to Civics, 11th gen Civics and stuff like that. But like I said, as of right now, not its most popular application yet, but in the future it probably will be, because that's just what people like to do nowadays. But now we're into the good, the bad, and the ugly. And in case you're new here, the way this works is first I go over the good, which are just great things about the car. They're selling points on the car. A salesman will come up to you and tell you these things to try and get you to buy it. Next is the bad. The bad is not actually bad. I explain this in every video, but for some reason people still don't understand. But the way the bad works is it's actually just a middle ground. The good, the bad, and the ugly is just a play on words that I thought worked well, but the bad doesn't actually mean these things are bad. They're just kind of things that it could affect you, it could not affect you. It's kind of up to you. You make up your mind on it. And then the ugly are genuine problems that you're going to have to address with the car. So without further ado, let's go right into it with the good. First off is obviously the reliability. These cars are insanely reliable. They're a Civic. As for a 2024 car, they're as reliable as you're going to get. Next is the price. Even for the Type R, these are still really affordable cars. A $45,000 car, yes, it sounds expensive, but for a brand new, sporty, good-looking, fun car that's probably going to hold its value relatively well is not that bad, honestly. Next is these are manuals in the big 2.5, baby. 2025. There are very, 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 very few cars you could buy that are still manual transmissions, and these have them. It's obviously really good. It's really awesome. I'm a car guy. I like manuals. Next is they have good cup holders. We mentioned cup holders in every single one of these good, bad, and uglies because people don't understand how important it is to have cup holders until they don't have them. If you want to open up an Arizona iced tea, you can't in a lot of cars. Well, in this car, you can. Like my 350Z, cup holders are useless. My Integra, cup holders are useless. This car, good cup holders. Next is it does have decent space. Is it incredible space? No, but it's decent. It's enough. It'll get the job done. Don't think you're going to be traveling around with 4 sets of extra tires in this car though. Next is the aftermarket support is obviously going to be good. Right now it's still kind of, again, the car is only 2 years old, so it is still kind of being built up, but it will be incredible, and their aftermarket companies are building parts for this thing every single day. Next is the community forum is incredible. I have an Acura Integra. The Honda community is probably the best community I've ever been a part of. They're just really kind people, always accepting of anybody that buys a Honda, and no matter what Honda it is, they like you. Next is the looks for the Type R in particular. I think this thing looks incredible. It's aggressive, it's wide, it went away from, like, everybody doesn't like the whole fact that I'm sorry for my phone ringing. I'm not going to stop recording though. It's just going to be frustrating. But yeah, everybody didn't like the 10th gen Civic because they said it was riced from factory. The 11th gen Civic I feel like went with a much more tame design, so I like the looks of it. I think most people are going to agree with that. Next is the tuning potential in the turbo models like the SI or the Type R is obviously going to be really, really good. Turbo Honda motors from factory are even better than naturally aspirated Honda motors from factory, and naturally aspirated Honda motors from factory are already good, so it's obviously going to be even better. Next is they are the fastest front-wheel drive car out there right now. Again, I've mentioned this like twice in this video already, but it's a huge deal. Being the fastest front-wheel drive car, that's big. In terms of fastest, by the way, people are going to be like, what do you mean? The 0 to 60 is not the fastest. That's not what I mean. I mean fastest around a track. These are the cars for that. Next up is the gas mileage. We already talked about this, but yeah, 36 miles per gallon combined is really good. Next is the price for parts. Civics are bought all over the United States. Everybody has Civics, so buying parts for it if a part breaks is not going to be that expensive. And finally, for the good is they're easy to work on for a 2025 car. I want to make that part very clear for a 2025 car. Now, if you compare this to like a 2001 Civic, obviously the 2001 Civic is going to be incredibly easy to work on compared to this one, just because nowadays we have so much more technology and so much more little things in the car that are going to make it a little bit more of a challenge to work on it. So keep that in mind. But for a 2025 car, this is one of the easiest options out there right now. But now we are into the bad. And again, I know I already mentioned it, but I wanted to say it again. The bad is not actually bad things. It's just a middle ground, okay? First off is the sound. Obviously, this is 100% personal opinion. I think they actually sound relatively good for an inline 4. So here is the sound of a Type R. Next up is the base model's looks. We talked about the Type R's looks earlier, where I said I don't think anybody could say they look bad, but with the base models, I can definitely see how people would say they look a little bit boring or whatever. They don't really, I don't know. I mean, they're just kind of there for me personally, but it's up to you, obviously. Next up is the hybrid models are kind of boring. Obviously, I don't really think anybody's gonna be surprised hearing that, but yeah, if you're looking to have fun in your 11th gen Civic, I would recommend staying away from the hybrids. If you're looking just to buy a 11th gen Civic just to get you from point A to point B, however, the hybrids are probably the better option. Next up is there's really no tuning potential in the NA models just yet. The naturally aspirated LX and Sport, I think is the other one. What was the other one? LX and Sport that came with the 2-liter inline-4. Those two, just as of right now, they don't have enough mods available for them to, if you want to tune it up to be crazy and everything. In the future they will, but like I said, right now it's just not there. Next up is these cars are obviously depreciation monsters. If you buy a brand new 2024, or I guess 2025 now, Civic LX, literally driving it off the lot, let's say you buy it for 33 grand, okay, you drive it off the lot, it's now going to be worth 25 grand. A year later it's going to be worth 19 grand. Like, these cars just depreciate fast as hell, and it's unfortunate, but that's the case. Next up is they do have cheap plastics. It's a cheap car. I mean, what do you expect? You're paying 30 grand, not even 30 grand in some of these cars for a brand new car. Like, do you really expect to have a freaking AMG level interior? It's not going to happen. Next up is apparently the seats aren't comfy even in the Type R models, which does actually kind of suck. That's a pretty big deal, honestly, if you like racing and you're going to be on the track throwing this car to its limits. But the only reason why this isn't the bad and not the ugly is because most people are just going to upgrade the seats anyways. Even if they were comfy, people are just going to upgrade them. So it's not really that big of a deal. Next up is the automatics are not driver's cars at all, especially since it has that incredibly light steering. These cars have electric steering, obviously, and since they are automatics, they don't feel like a driver's car anymore, is what everybody online is saying. If you have an automatic, it's just not gonna, you're just gonna feel like you're in a daily driver, which I guess makes sense, but it's unfortunate. Next is the hatchbacks surprisingly have less cargo space than the sedans somehow. At least that's what everybody is saying online. Everybody's saying online that the hatchbacks have less cargo space than the sedans, which in my opinion makes absolutely zero sense because they have the entire hatch. But I guess they just messed up there. I don't know. But yeah, if you want cargo space, if that's what you're looking for with your Civic, don't get the hatchback, I guess, get the sedan. Next is the speaker audio is not that good. Again, this is kind of another thing where it's like you're getting what you paid for. I mean, did you expect to have JBL freaking incredible speakers in your Honda Civic? Like, I don't know. I personally wouldn't expect that. And finally, for the bad, is the evap canister apparently is a bit faulty. This is the only true problem that we have in the bad tier, because this car is just that reliable. Like, an evap canister, it can be a problem for sure, but it's not even the end of the world. It's mainly just an emissions thing. But now we are into the ugly, my friend. And there's only one single thing I can find that's truly ugly about these cars, and that is the cheap electronics. Some don't work, some are laggy, and some are just completely missing when a 2025 car should definitely have them. It's just another indicator that all these like electronics and all these new screens and all this fancy dancy stuff is not going to hold up in 20 years, unfortunately. I know that's random to mention, but yeah, it's just sad to see whenever a new car comes out, they have all these new technology that everybody's going crazy about, and then you look at it after like a year and the hype died down, and you're like, oh yeah, 20 years from now, that's going to be broken on every single freaking one that you want to buy on Facebook Marketplace. Like, every one of them, they're going to be laggy, they're going to be crappy. And like I said, some things that you would expect in a 2025 car are not there for this. Again, you're getting what you paid for, but it does kind of suck because people are starting to expect these things, and I think they're ruining cars, especially the resale value later on in life. But my final thoughts: what do I think you should buy this car depending on the current situation that you're in? Well, if you're just a daily driver guy, if you just need a daily driver, you do not care about cars at all you care about, literally all you care about, is going from point A to point B. First of all, I don't know how you found this channel, because that is not what we talk about here. But second, yes, I do think you should buy one of these cars. I did one of these videos, Good, Bad, and Uglies, on the 12th generation Corolla recently, and this honestly does seem like the better option in my opinion. But they're both incredible daily drivers. They've been daily drivers since they came out. They're going to be daily drivers until they die. Like, they're good cars for that. As for the car guys that are looking for a daily driver, obviously we're a little bit different from the regular people. We tell ourselves that we're buying just a daily driver, man, but our daily drivers have to be at least somewhat cool, right? I think for sure, but you have to kind of go with the Type R or SI models. I think the base models or the hybrid models are going to be too boring for you. So I would recommend, like I said, sticking with an SI or a Type R. It is a little bit more money, but in the long run, I think you'll be a lot happier, especially if you get the Type R. I mean, those things are absolutely awesome. Then as for the Sunday cruiser folks, the people that are just buying the car to just drive it once a week and maybe hold on to its resale value and sell it in a couple years, almost like an investment. Definitely not, in my opinion. It's a Civic, not a Porsche. Like I said before, they do not hold their value very well. They're also brand new cars, and holding onto a brand new car's value is a bad idea, I think. But I would recommend not doing that. They're also Civics, man. Just enjoy them. Like they're reliable. Like I feel like if you're gonna have a Sunday cruiser, it's got to be something that's like you only drive it once a week because you're worried it's gonna break, you know. And that's not the Civic. And then as for the people that are looking for a race car or a project car, again, the Type R or SI is definitely the way to go. But I guess I can see where you would have some fun with the base models. You kind of have like a blank slate to start on or whatever. But yeah, people love taking these cars to the track for a reason. They're fun little race cars. So yeah, if you're looking for a race car or a project car, I can absolutely see how this goes. Maybe not the project car side of things, but the race car side for sure. Project car, they're just too new. Project car is more, whenever I think of the word project car, I always think of like a beat up freaking, I don't know, 2G Eclipse or something that like has no, it's just like a shell. But yeah, no, I do think this is a good option for you, but again, I would recommend the Type R or SI. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video of the good, the bad, and the ugly on the 11th generation Honda Civic. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Let me know what other cars you'd like to see me do good, bad, and uglies on, because I forgot to mention this in the intro, but every one of these good, bad, and uglies are recommendations only. So I only do a good, bad, and ugly if it gets recommended in my comments. That's not me trying to fish for comments, but it's me trying to like actually give you guys what you want to see. Because if it was up to me, like doing good, bad, and ugly script videos on cars that I wanted to do them on, it would just be old classic JDM cars, and that would be it. Like we would just be doing 90s and 2000s JDM cars all day long. And that would probably be all my good, bad, and ugly. So it's probably a good thing that I branch out and do other people's things. So yeah, if you want to see your car or whatever it may be, leave a comment down below. Again, I wish there was a way that you didn't have to leave the comments. I know people are, I hate personally when a YouTuber's like, comment down below if you enjoyed this video. I hate that. I hate it too. Okay, so I know it's frustrating to hear me ask you to comment, but that's really the only way I could know if what you guys want to see me do a good, bad, and ugly on. Also, really quick, I have a question for anybody that experienced like stress in their lives, but not like just like everybody's experienced stress, but like stress that stays, you know what I mean? Like stress that's there for a couple months. Do you guys randomly just forget things and it drives you insane? You know that feeling you have when you're like, what was I just thinking about? I was just thinking about something and now I can't remember what I was just thinking of. You know that feeling? I have that feeling happen to me at least once every hour, and it drives me insane. I feel like I have, let's see, I can't even think of the word. Dementia, that's the word. I feel like I have dementia. I'm like, what was I just thinking about? And it drives me insane. There have been times where I'm sitting there, I literally just start going, oh my God, what was I thinking about? Like I start getting so frustrated, dude, because I can't remember what I'm thinking about. It drives me absolutely nuts. It's so frustrating. But hey, at least we're back with a song of the days. That's a new thing. But like even whenever I make videos, it happens so much. Cause I always think to myself, I'm always like, wait a minute, I wanted to tell my YouTube audience something. What was it I wanted to tell them? Now I can't remember what I wanted to tell them. What was it? And then for the rest of the night, I'm like, what was it I wanted to tell my YouTube guys? And I can never think of it. I can never think of it. And it drives me absolutely insane. It frustrates me. But let me know if anybody else has experienced that. And if they got over it, how? Because oh my God, I'm going nuts to butts over here. I'm going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Okay? Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. I love each and every one of you. I hope you guys are having a great new year. Das Vidanya, and have a nice night.